Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session on getting started with PC Matic VPN. My name is Corey Munson. I am a vice president here at PC Matic, joined by my teammate, Jeff York. He heads up our product support team, spends a lot of time with customers like yourself, addressing any number of issues they may have questions on. And as a result, we're going to do more and more of these sessions just like this, where we try to help those that are new to PCmatic VPN or any of the PCmatic products learn how to better get those products set up and operational. Or we know there's a fair number of people logging in today that are still considering making a purchase or an upgrade to include something like PCmatic VPN. And we're going to share some information with you today about why VPNs are important, why they're an important addition into the PCmatic antivirus that many of you already have or any of our other products. Now, before we get too far into it, I want to take care of a couple of housekeeping items. Number one, we want these sessions to be as interactive as possible. So if you'll take a moment within that GoToWebinar console that you logged in through, you should see an icon that's a little square with a question mark in the middle of it. If you'll click on that and just test it out, this is going to be your mechanism for submitting questions, comments over the course of the session that Jeff and I will have visibility to, and we can address over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. But if you want to test it by at least clicking on that, let us know where you're logging in from, what the weather's like, if you've got a beverage in your hand, whatever the case may be. Just a good opportunity to make sure that everything's functional there. Number two, a replay of this will be available as well. So if you have to step away at some point or log off, or you're logging in late, we will follow up with an email within the next 24 hours that will give you a link to the replay. Lastly, we really value your feedback. So immediately following the session, as it closes out, you'll receive a survey. It's about 3 or 4 questions asking you what you thought of the session, what other topics you would like to see covered in future sessions. But most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to let us know how we can best help you. So if you'd like more information about a particular product, if you'd like to purchase a particular product, if you need additional technical support, or maybe there was a question you had asked that wasn't answered, it would give you that opportunity to submit all of those, and we'll follow up with you. If for any reason you don't see a follow up email from us within the next 24 hours, check your spam filter. Unfortunately, the email clients are getting more and more stringent these days, and occasionally our emails will end up in those spam filters, and it might be there. So with that being said, again, agenda-wise, what we want to start with is talking a little bit about the value of having a VPN and why it's important. We realize that many of you already have the product and may have already installed it, but we at least wanted to cover that for folks that are still considering it as an upgrade. And then two, we'll transition into some of the more frequently asked questions that Jeff and his team address for customers that are getting VPN downloaded, installed, and set up and configured correctly. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. He's going to drive the slides from here on out. And again, as you're spending time with us here and you haven't purchased the VPN product yet, if you are interested, feel free to drop that into the chat that you're interested in making a purchase, and I'll try to respond to you directly with a buy now link with a special offer, so you'd be able to do it right here and now. In past sessions, we've had that happen, and I just want to make sure if you're ready to make that upgrade, you've got a way to do that. So all that being said, Jeff, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll join you during Q&A later.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Corey. So, as you said, I'm Jeff York. I am the Director of Technical Support here. Many of you have probably had a run-in with me at some point, or at least received a survey response to try to see how my team is doing. And as you said, we wanted to base this webinar on how to use the VPN, but based on the registration numbers, we do want to have a quick overview of why it is important to have a VPN. What are the benefits you're going to get from having a VPN? So we'll touch over that really quickly, and then we'll get into some good use cases and how to set up the optimal setup for the VPN based on what type of user you are. So All right, so let's see. 1 second. All right, there we go. Yeah, I had a little technical difficulty myself. All right, so what is a VPN? So the VPN, for those of you who have not purchased or are curious, it is a virtual private network. It is essentially a secure connection over the internet. It masks your IP address. It encrypts the data that you are sending out to different websites, and it acts as a private tunnel for your online activity to kind of keep other prying eyes and other companies out of your business. Let's see. So this is just a really quick overview of exactly what is happening. So it all begins with your device, and then it goes whatever you are looking at on your device goes through the VPN program itself, and then into the router at your internet service provider, and then it goes from there to a VPN server, which that with this is where your information is masked. So your the VPN server is going to mask and encrypt your data, and then it will finally go to that website. So that added layer of encryption and masking is how your identity is protected while you're surfing. So why to use a VPN? Obviously, privacy. It will hide your IP address and your online activities. It will also encrypt your internet connection and protect data on your public Wi-Fi. You know, public being as you're going to a store or staying at a hotel, anything like that. When you're connecting to a Wi-Fi that is not yours, you are very susceptible to getting some of your data looked at. Your data is not as protected on a public network. To access geographically based content. So this one is obviously over time, it's become less and less an option. Many of the streaming sites and things like that are aware of that, but you could still get quite a few different options available that would only be available to you if you were in a different geographic location. Also, it helps with censorship based on regions as well. So why use a VPN? So one of my cohorts, Stu Thompson from he used a very good um, example of why to use a VPN. So I said to imagine a VPN like imagine you're sending a letter. And without a VPN, you write your letter, you put your address on it, send it through the regular mail, and anybody who gets a hold of this letter can see what your address is, read what's inside. There's nothing stopping anybody from looking at the content. When you use a VPN, it's like putting a letter inside of a special locked box that only the attended recipient can open. So, plus, so nobody can read the content. Nobody knows exactly what your online activity is. And then it also does not know where this online activity is coming from. There's no IP address which pinpoints your activity to your device. So that's the same as not having a return address. So there's no return address on this lockbox either. So if this was to get intercepted and the person intercepting it did not have the encryption key, they would have no idea what they were intercepting. It's just a box. So they don't know what's inside of it. They don't know where the return address is or who sent it. So that's sort of why to use a VPN. A more use case and something that's sort of more current. The holiday season is fastly approaching us, and this is one of the worst times for people stealing data and utilizing it in a way to kind of trick you further. So as you're doing your holiday shopping, each item you browse or purchase, it creates a cookie that's stored in your browser. So each time you are going and connecting to a different website, that website can see all the cookies of everything else you've browsed prior to going to that website. So they know all your browsing activity up until that point. During the holiday season, you're also there's an increased level of shopping. So you're shopping a lot more than normal. So you're visiting a lot more sites. You're buying a lot more things. So it's even harder to keep sight of where you're actually ordering things. And why that's important is if your cookies are intercepted, well, now they know you were at, let's just use some examples, say Belk or Bass Pro Shop or whatever. They can start utilizing this information for a more targeted email, a targeted phishing scam. So they'll say, something as simple as, hey, your Belk order could not be processed until you enter some additional information. They know that you went to Belk because they got your cookies. Your cookies were accessible because you had no VPN. So they can craft their targeted phishing attack at you specifically based on your usage. This is another big reason why, especially during the holiday seasons, it's very important to utilize a VPN while you're kind of browsing around, especially not just purchases. A lot of people think it's just the purchase part. It's everything. It's the browsing. It's what you're looking at. They can use all that information against you. So that is sort of a more recent use case that might make sense to some of you. And how to use the VPN. So we're going to go over this very quickly. It's very simple. The installation process is very, very, very simple. Um, you download the file, you install it, and as soon as it opens up, you're going to go ahead and allow all the changes. Whenever you open the downloaded file, it's going to ask if you want to allow the changes to be made to your computer. You're going to say yes, and then you will log in with the exact same email and password that you use for all of your PCmatic products. That is your key to everything PCmatic related. And one added benefit also of getting PCmatic and PCmatic VPN is that you have a little bit more support. And I think Corey wanted to kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the underreported values of having both PCmatic and PCmatic VPN in terms of the way we actually bundle these. First, let me start by saying that, in our 25 plus years in business, one of the things we're always complimented on is our support system and our support team. And as a default on all PCmatic products, you've got access to that support team through email communication, and they're very, very efficient about how they do that. The elevated level of support, though, is available to those who purchase both PCmatic and have PCmatic VPN, have access to a product support phone number that you're able to call with questions about PCmatic products specifically. So if you currently have PCmatic antivirus and you have PCmatic VPN, you have access to this phone number. It should have been communicated with to you over the course of your license or your time with us. If you don't have that number, we can get it to you. If you're considering purchasing VPN and don't currently have it, it's definitely worth considering the fact that you get access to this phone number as part of that purchase of VPN in combination with your current PCmatic license. So don't overlook that benefit, knowing that the call center we work with is someone we vetted very, very thoroughly. They can be very helpful with the most simple of installation questions, downloading questions, and getting things configured correctly. So again, as long as you've got the combination of those two products, you will get access to that product support phone number. And when you look at that survey, again, at the end of this session, if you need access to that phone number and don't have it, indicate that in the survey and we'll make sure you get that number. Back to you, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Yep, that is a very good point. I think it's a pretty good value to go along with the VPN. You also get some phone support. All right, so now for the meat of this presentation, what a lot of you came for. You already have the VPN. Now, how do you use it? And I know there's still a lot of questions on, you've used it, but what is the optimal way? What is the best way for what type of user you are? There are different ways to use the product, and it is all based on how you use your computer, how you access the internet. Based on this information, that would dictate exactly what would be an ideal setup for you. So first, we'll go ahead. I kind of lumped it into three different um, user bases, but there's obviously various combinations based on it's not just three types of users, but this is just sort of for all intents and purposes, just a good overall look at what type of settings you have. So if you want to have complete control over the VPN, that means each time you open the program, each time you use the VPN, it is because you're going to open the program. And then you are going to manually choose the desired server or best available. And each time you click that, you're going to be prompted with a request to auto connect. It'll say, do you want to continue using this server? Each time click the best available option. You could say yes or no to that. If you want a complete control option, you probably should say no, because you'd want to pick whichever is the best option. Now, if you are wanting to use it like that, that means when you open your computer, it's not going to be turned on until you actually click on the VPN. And just simply clicking on the VPN is also not going to make it automatically connect. You're going to have to open it and then press the connect button. And when you're done using it, you can disconnect it and close it. And each time you want to use it, you will just reopen it. So there are people who would prefer it to be like that. And this option is definitely for those. As you're looking at, an important thing to look at here on this image, you'll see that the different available servers have three different descriptive categories: country, city, and load. Obviously, country is very self-explanatory, city as well. And what this means is when you connect to a website, it's going to tell that website that it is an anonymous computer from, say, let's use the top one, Los Angeles, California, in the United States. And um, even if you're in Wisconsin, it's going to tell whoever you're connected to that you're from Los Angeles. The load is how many people are currently using that server. So typically, if you want for the best results, the quickest results, to have your internet speed stay as fast as it can, you'd want to choose a server with the smallest load possible. So you can sort each of those categories. You can sort the servers by each one of those category listings. So you could do it alphabetically by country, city, or from smallest load to largest load, if that's how you want to sort it. And my advice would be, sort by load, and then take the server with the smallest load that is closest to you, and you'll have your ideal connection. So that is sort of more for the complete control users who want to use this program as more of just an app that they use whenever they want to use it, and they don't want it interfering and running whenever it wants to. They want to have control of when it is being used. The next one is sort of what I call kind of a casual oversight. There is some automation to this so that you don't forget to use it, but at the same time, it is not completely operated by itself. So you're going to have to kind of interact if anything happens. It will require your intervention if anything out of the ordinary pops up. To set it up like that, you would install the application, and then there's a little gear icon right where I have the one, and you'll click that settings icon, and then make sure you click the general tab, which is just above the one. And then the two section, you're going to look over here. It says startup application when user logs in. So this means when user logs into the computer. So whenever you log onto your computer, this application is going to turn on. It's going to open up, and it's going to automatically hide itself in the system tray, so it's not sitting there bothering you, and you can continue to do what you want. Um, that does not mean it's automatically connecting. So there's application startup is number 3. So you want it to connect to fastest server, typically for this setting, and that is what makes the application actually, once it's open, automatically connect to the fastest server available. And then whenever you close, it's just going to hide it. So if you want to close the VPN, all it's going to do is hide it to the system tray. The program's not going to have to be reopened, um, you know, because you'll hide it. So this is sort of a casual oversight. So that means every time you turn your computer on, your VPN is now going to automatically connect. It's automatically going to turn on, automatically connect to the fastest server, and when you access the internet, it's going to be on. It's going to be on at all times until you turn it off. And then when you restart your computer, it's going to start up again each time. So this is sort of a casual oversight. That's for those who want to make sure that they don't forget to use it. Because if you have the VPN but you're not using it, it's you're not getting any protection out of it at all. So it is definitely important to remember to use it each time you're connecting to the internet. All right. So the next set is this is quite it's a lot more advanced settings, but this would be for the people who just want to purchase the product, set up the settings, and never mess with it ever again. To just know that it is constantly providing you the protection that you paid for. So you would set up all of the settings from the previous slide, but this time you would go into the connection tab at the very top of that picture, right beside the general tab, and then there's a setting called kill switch. So what kill switch is, it's not as ominous as it sounds. Um, if you are browsing on the internet and you have your VPN, if your VPN turns off suddenly, if think of it as like an invisibility cloak. If your VPN turned off while you're on a website, suddenly that cloak just wears off and they can see you. Now you're standing there, so all the protection previously up until that point is gone. Now they can see who you are. They got your cookies. They got everything. So everything was sort of a moot point. So it's very essential that as you're browsing privately, that you make sure that even if the VPN fails or there's an issue with the application, that your connection to the internet is terminated immediately, so that that website can still won't have access to all the information that you had been trying to protect up until that point. So I hope that makes sense. I know there was a little confusion about this. That's why I wanted to kind of make a point to bring this up here. It is only going to be used if, say, the PCmatic application, not your internet, dies. Say the PCmatic application has a problem, runs into an issue, and then dies and has to restart itself. It's going to kill the internet, and the internet will start back up as soon as the PCmatic VPN is connected again. So that way, you will never be connected to the internet without a VPN. There will never be an instance that you have to worry about the internet accessing, anybody having access to the internet or your network and your cookies. It won't happen while the VPN is not currently on and protecting you. Then there is some DNS leak protection, some IPv6 leak protection. These are additional security measures. They're just good to turn on. And then the advanced threat protection, which gives you a little bit more ad blocker protection and monitors malicious websites and things like that. So this is just to beef up your protection when browsing online as well. So those are all good to have set up. And now we'll move on to the next part. Is a little bit more confusing because we do get a lot of questions about this. What is split tunneling? So why I included split tunneling in the set it and forget it is because split tunneling just allows you to select an application or website that will bypass the VPN. So that means it will not go through the VPN servers when it is connecting to that website, or if an application is being used and has to access the internet. That application won't go through the VPN servers. It will go through your regular servers. Now, why is that necessary? It's necessary because a lot of banks will not allow you to access your account from a VPN. The reason is because cyber criminals often will do this. They will use a VPN to try to pose as you and to get into your bank account. And the bank cannot geographically locate where the device is coming from. So part of their security, part of their firewall and keeping your money and accounts safe is that they need to know where all of the connections are being made from. And anything that prohibits them from doing that, they're not going to allow. So if they detect a VPN, they're going to limit what is available for you to see. So you may be able to log in. You may not get rejected completely, but parts of that page will be disabled because of their security protocol setup, which is, it's part of, what do they call it? A necessary evil. It's needed because of how cybercrime is now. So but it is annoying. It is a pain. So that's why split tunneling is something. That means you could still set it and forget it, even if you're going to websites or using applications that won't work when going through a server, a VPN server. So how do you set that up? And it's actually relatively easy. So say you are navigating to your banking site and you notice exactly what I had just mentioned. Uh, you know, decrease in what you can see, or they just flat out reject you at the door and they won't let you log in. The first thing you'll want to do is go to that site, and you're going to want to copy the exact URL on the page that you started to witness the whatever performance issues you experienced. And the next step would be to open up your VPN, click on that gear setting again, and now the last of the three tabs, click split tunneling. And if you'll notice down on the bottom, so you first have to enable the split tunneling by clicking that slider switch. And then down there at the bottom, you'll see two other tabs. One says applications, one says domains. So domains is going to be websites. So you'll click on the domain, and then down there in the little white box, you will just paste the URL that you just copied and click that little green add button. Once you have done that, that domain is now added to your split tunneling, which means that, they'll say you have a banking website that is being interfered with. You add it to the split tunneling feature. Now, when you restart your computer the next time, PCmatic automatically started up. All the security is set, is connected to the fastest available server, and you can navigate to the bank without even having to worry about intervening with the VPN product at all. You won't have to pause it. You won't have to do anything else. It's just going to connect. You're not going to notice any difference. Here's another question that we do get. Well, what's the point of using the VPN if we're going to allow certain sites to have access to our cookies? Well, your bank, you're going to want to have access to it. So your bank should be a secure area. So you have less to worry about when connecting with your bank or an institution like that has a required level of security on their website. Public shopping websites are not. They do have a level of security, but they're not held to as high a standard. So that's why you would need the protection, when going to say Target.com versus your bank.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah,
Michael's asking a question about split tunneling, whether it is done by at the account level or the device level.
this is done at the device level it will be done on the device level.
And it would need to be done. It would need to be done for every device. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And if that is something, how our developers are, Corey, if that's something that everybody is interested in, I'm sure they could easily fix that and add that in the next updates that we come out with. But split tunneling is a relatively new concept, so we're kind of, if there is a high adoption rate for it, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to add account level split tunneling. Okay, so we'll jump ahead. So the next part is applications. So applications is the same thing, and I will use our own program as an example. So when you're using PCmatic, we are a cloud-based security. Cloud-based meaning that we are always keeping our definitions up to date in real time. So that means every time a file runs, your antivirus program is asking our security servers, which are maintained and updated in real time, is this good? And without that decision from the servers, it won't let the program run until it gets a decision. That is essentially, the program is using your servers and your security protocols to contact our own servers so that we can give you that decision. So that application is communicating with the internet. So we are still transported, there's cookies, there's things like that are still being transported back and forth. All applications work like this. So we are a security company, so we have those those higher end securities, we are protecting your information. There's nothing to worry about there, because the destination is a very secure destination. However, if you're using and even games, if a game says we would like to, in the fine print, a lot of them say we would like to report your activity back to our team for continued improvement. Basically, they're just looking, they're taking some of the cookies off your device and sending them to their company, and those cookies are being data mined. It's the nature of the beast. It's how it is, which is why you'd want them to go through your VPN portal. So anything, even an application, anything accessing the internet from your computer while the VPN is in place is going through the VPN servers, unless you put this on the split tunneling. So um, usually it would be a trading app, so like a stock trading. That's one we've run into. Most banks don't have an application; they just do things on their on the website. But if they do have an application, you would probably want to add that specific app to the split tunneling. And I wouldn't go. I would honestly not go out and add an application to the split tunneling until you actually experience any kind of issues with the app while the VPN is running. Um, because a lot of times there's no need for that app to deny access because you're using a VPN, unless there's something odd going on, or if it's a financial company or a secured company like that would need to verify the geolocation of the device accessing their server. Um, but either way, that's so you would just you would click applications, and you would click the select apps, and you'll just kind of go through the file path until you find the actual exe for that specific application, and then you add that file path there, and boom, that application will now no longer go through the VPN servers whenever it's turned on. So this is sort of in a nutshell. This is what makes it to where you are completely 100% setting the application and forgetting it, because it is now going to run whether you remember to run it or not. Every time you access the internet, you're not going to run into any issues because you've split tunneled the essential websites that you were having issues with, and it's just less to forget. If you're anything like me, I'll forget things quite often. So it's you'd hate to be halfway through the browsing session and say, oh well, I forgot my VPN. Well, now it's kind of too late because you've already been on their website without it. So that's definitely not something you want to do. Forget to do before you start browsing, especially with the holiday season fast approaching. But those were the three different user types that we had. Like I said, there's various combinations. Obviously, there's really no reason. There's no true archetype for what kind of setting or what kind of user it is. But that was just the best way to kind of explain exactly what type of features you had, and I sort of used a lot of the questions that we had been getting coming into the help desk based on how to use the VPN to kind of guide the construction of the slide deck. So um, we are always listening. So if you have any questions about any of this, you can always open a ticket, call the number that you were given, um, and we'll be happy to help. But that is basically it for the slide deck. I think we're going to open it up for questions, right, Corey?
Yeah, we've got plenty coming in here already, there, Jeff. So let's get to a few of them. One is a question about, do you need both PCmatic? Why would you need both PCmatic antivirus and PCmatic VPN? And I think that's where it's really important to understand what the antivirus product is doing is protecting you against potentially malicious links inside of an email or something you may be clicking on, and being able to stop that because it's only going to allow known good applications and executables to run. What the VPN is really doing, and you can fill in the blanks here, Jeff, the VPN is really providing you that sort of private tunnel as you're surfing the internet or sending communications over the computer so that as that information, and there's a lot of information, basic information, and sometimes more than basic information, that's transmitted about you, about your session as you're surfing, it allows for that to happen much more privately and much more discreetly. Is that fair to say, Jeff? That's why
No,
you need.
definitely. Yes, definitely. And if you think about it, the antivirus is protecting everything on your device. But once the information or once anything leaves your device, it is outside of the scope of the antivirus. The antivirus can no longer see what's happening. Like similar to a home security system. You can have all the home security protocols set up in your house that you want, but the minute you leave your house, you're pretty much unprotected. So the VPN acts sort of like a private tunnel to get you from point A to point B when you're leaving your house to whatever your destination is without being harassed by whatever cyber criminals are out there and whatever most recent scam is, and they won't try to get your information from you and all that stuff. So, and nobody can spy on you and see where your common locations are, where you're constantly browsing, what computer is accessing this. All that information is power when creating a scam. And I think you can agree, Corey, because you've seen it as much as I have. Social engineering is becoming a very big problem with cybersecurity, and essentially that is just they are trying to trick you. So antiviruses are great now. Antiviruses are they have the criminal's number, especially PCMatic's version of allow listing. But if they trick you into bypassing your security, if they trick you into letting them in, well, then they didn't have to worry about the antivirus at all. So that's where a lot of them are focusing on, and that's why your information is becoming so important to them.
Good point, Jeff. Quite a few questions about how this works from a licensing perspective, how many devices it can be used on, how that would relate to their current PCmatic license. Do you want to speak to that?
I'm sorry, repeat. You cut out just a little bit on my end.
Yeah, we've got multiple questions about how this would work from a licensing perspective, how many devices they could use it
Hmm.
on, how many connections, and
Oh, okay.
how a license for PCmatic VPN or subscription for the VPN service would relate to their PCmatic license. Maybe
Okay.
important to understand where one stops and starts there.
Right. So um, with PCmatic, there is a specific count, obviously a device count for how many devices you can have on your license at one time. Um, Typically five in increments of 5, 10, 15, depending on what your license states. With the VPN, there is officially no count on how many devices that you can have the VPN on. However, for best results, if you have PCmatic, a rule of thumb, if you have PCmatic installed on a device, you can install the VPN app without any worries on it. And there is no device, there is no connection count, there's no hour count. I know a lot of VPNs will bill based on hours or give you a certain amount of hours or peak hours and things like that. There is none of that. You just use the VPN, install it on whatever devices you have PCmatic on, and that's it. However long you're browsing is however long you're using it. So there is no other limitations in reference to that the usage. So
We've
hopefully
got
that.
yeah, that helps. We've got a question here. A gentleman would like to know, he has PCmatic VPN. He believes he has it installed. Is there a way for him to verify that it's working correctly, or what's the best way to verify it's doing what it should?
Yeah, sure. So if you just installed it and you don't recall going through those settings, then you would fall under that first category. So unless you are manually turning it on, unless you have changed those auto settings that I outlined um, on the in the second archetype, user archetype, then you're probably not using it. You would have to open it to verify if it's actually working. You would find the VPN app in the bottom right hand corner of your computer screen beside the time and date. You'll click that little white up arrow that shows the hidden menu, and there you'll see different apps that are currently running. If you don't see the VPN app in that list, then it is not turned on. So you would want to find the VPN app in your list of installed apps, open it up, and then you could change those settings that I outlined in the slideshow, so that it automatically starts and you won't have to worry about that any longer. But the best way to find out is it working, look in that tray icon area, and if you don't see the application on, it's not running.
And as part of the follow up in the email, everyone will receive within 24 hours. You'll see we actually have a kind of a step by step guide for verifying that with the screenshots and
Yep,
everything. So even if you didn't follow along with what Jeff just said there, you'll receive all that documentation that shows you how to verify it's working. Another
definitely.
question about licensing, again, just to reiterate, it's separate licensing. So if PCmatic antivirus renews in February, your VPN is going to be a separate renewal date. Am I
Correct.
thinking right there, Jeff?
And,
Okay,
yeah, unless it's been included in a bundle, because there are
right.
bundles out there now. But yeah, other than that, if it's bought separately a la carte, then yeah, it's going to be a separate expiration date.
Question about whether PCmatic works on an iPhone.
Yes. Yeah, we have an PCmatic app for iPhone and Android. It also works on Mac and PC. So, um, yes.
Great. We've got time for a few more here. Thomas would like to know, many VPNs slow systems down. Will the PCmatic VPN slow my computer down? And I can even tackle this one. I believe
Good.
it's out there on our website right now. There was some third-party testing done with our VPN against most of the major VPNs that you've probably heard of. And in terms of performance impact and slowing anything down in terms of your computing experience or internet experience, it had the most minimal impact of any of those that are tested. And if you go to, I believe it's pcmatic.com/VPN, it actually gives you a table of what those results were. So it's one of the things we've always taken pride on with our products and been mindful of is they have a very, very minimal performance impact overall. And that goes for the antivirus product as well. Let's see here. We've got time for a few more. Um, And let's see if I can come up with a few more here for you, Jeff. Does PCmatic work on a Chromebook?
No, no, it does not. So
Does not.
Chromebook uses a different Android variation operating system. Everything has to go through the Google Play Store on the Chromebook. Um, so they have a lot of their own integrated apps that work on Chromebook. The PCmatic app does not currently work on Chromebook. No.
Okay. Let's see a few more here. If I have another VPN currently installed, what's the best way to change over to PCmatic? I'm guessing you help folks
Oh yeah.
uninstall from time to time, Jeff. Is that
Yeah,
right?
you would just the best option is obviously you want to limit your footprint online, so download PCmatic first, so that you have the installer on your computer. Then go ahead and uninstall the old VPN, and then install PCmatic now that you have that file already on your computer, because it's not going to require you connect to the internet. So you're still secure because you're just running a file that's already on your computer. And you would uninstall just like any other software. Go into the control panel and click programs, uninstall a program, and that's it. It should have its own baked in uninstaller. Most programs do now. Or you can go and download a free uninstaller program. If you have issues, yeah, contact help desk, and we have a couple uninstaller programs you could use if you're finding it tricky to get a program off your device.
Donald would like to know, are there any drawbacks to having it on all the time?
No, not that I can think of.
Easy enough answer, Jeff. That was
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I wish I had more to say, but no. It used to. So I think that's something that happens. There's still a lot of opinions based on how VPNs used to be when they first started. And yes, when they first started, they definitely impacted your machine. They definitely impacted your internet speed. Back when internet speed was already not nowhere near as quick as it is now. So just even a littlest bit of impact would slow you to a crawl if you only have like say 2 megabytes per second, and now all of a sudden you have a VPN. Yeah, you're gonna feel it. But nowadays, no, the way the internet is, the way the engineering on these VPN is, it's you're not gonna notice it.
Rose had a question about installing the VPN on an Android device. That's those step-by-step instructions are included in what you'll receive in your follow-up within 24 hours. If you don't want to wait for that, and you go out to pcmatic.com and click through support, I believe within our knowledge base there, the instructions step by step, even with
Yep.
screenshots, should be there for you. So if you don't want to wait to receive that email, you can find all that information is posted right there online.
Yep. If you
Uh,
click that knowledge base and click getting started under the VPN section, you can click specifically what device you want instructions on, and there it is. It's all pictorial. There's some videos. There's all kinds of things there.
Michael would like to know if we've come across any big retailers that have issues with VPNs. Any reports of anyone having shopping issues with VPN?
Currently, no. The only people that we have had any issues reported to from are banking institutions and some medical software, obviously because of the HIPAA, and then need a geographical location, and trading applications or trading sites like day trading, things like that. Once again, it's a financial site that requires they see your geolocation based on the security that they have set in place in their servers. So
And we've probably got time for at least one more here. Barbara would like to know, is there any reason the enable split tunneling option would be disabled?
oh yeah, because not everybody wants to use it. That's basically in a nutshell. So if if you don't access, if you would prefer to just pause the VPN every time you access the bank, rather than use the VPN split tunneling, then so be it. But I honestly think it is lack of understanding what the split tunneling is why we have it disabled, because unless you know what you're doing, there's no reason to have it set, because it could cause you some kind of confusion when you're looking at the options. But yeah, it's yeah, it's only there because just in case you didn't want to use it. Some people prefer to have full control, and you don't want to tell somebody how to use an application. So it's best in our practices to that we've come from our experiences to show that not to be pushy with how the settings are set, and to let you guys make those decisions, because everybody's a different kind of user.
Good point. Well, to get things wrapped up, and first let me say we've received literally hundreds of questions over the past 47 minutes or so.
Mhm.
If we did not get to your question specifically, or if your question was very, very specific, we will respond to that as part of the follow up. And if it means getting you in touch with the support team, if it means providing you with an answer within that follow up, we will get to that, and we are able to run a report of all the questions you've asked, and we'll address those. Um, Harry is asking about whether we'll do these webinars again. Uh, Let me say the plan going forward is to do a monthly webinar, one about PC Matic specifically, so antivirus. If you've got questions about that particular product, we're going to do a similar format, similar session each month. We'll do one on VPN at least once a month. If you
Mhm.
don't get a chance to register or to attend, there is a page we've set up on our website that archives all of these town hall meetings like this and all of these webinars, so you can watch them on demand. In addition to us sending you a replay link immediately following, if you registered, that'll automatically happen. But if you ever want to go out and just surf around and look through the past sessions, you're more than welcome to do that. And that page just went live within the last week or so. A reminder that as you close out of your GoToWebinar console, the survey will automatically pop up. Uh, we'll offer a little incentive because we really, really value this feedback. We will select of two people that respond to the survey, we will give away $50 Amazon gift cards. We'll draw from the list of everyone that responds to the survey. So, as a little added incentive, if you take the time to answer probably those 2, 3 questions that we put together there, That feedback will help us kind of formulate our plan going forward on what we want to do, the topics we want to cover with these webinars going forward. It'll allow us to better respond to you individually if you've got a particular item of concern or a request. And it will help us measure just how effective this session is and whether these are helpful or not. So please make a point of completing that survey as you exit out today, and we will contact the winners of the Amazon gift cards within the next 48 hours via email to let you know how to get a hold of your gift card. Jeff, any final words of wisdom before we sign off here today?
No, and we have various means of contacting us. So, whatever means you choose, if you have an idea for something you'd like to see us do a webinar on, please, feel free to tell us. It could be on Facebook, it could be in the help desk, it could be anywhere that we have an open line of communication. Just let us know what you would like to see, and we are listening. So, we're trying to gear this content based towards what you guys would like to see and not based on what we want you to see. So the more feedback we get, the more we can customize and tailor these sessions to fit what you guys want to actually see.
Good stuff. And one bonus tip here, and this is something we've been experimenting with over the past 60 days or so. We now offer the ability to communicate via text message, and I believe you actually have the options to log into your account and opt in for those text messages. This isn't a situation where we're bombarding you with sales offers every other hour. This is mainly another way for us to communicate with you outside of email. I know many of you may have challenges receiving the email you want to receive, may end up in spam from time to time. This is your way of kind of protecting against that, to make sure you're getting communication from us about product updates, about special offers for renewal, or even information that we need to get in your hands about the status of your particular license. So be on the lookout for that, as well as you log in and play around with the PC Matic portal, as it does give you an option to opt in for those text messages as well. So that being said, please take time to fill out that survey. Be on the lookout for an email from us in the next 24 hours with follow-ups to your questions and concerns and the replay link. And we appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. We appreciate your ongoing support of PC Matic and our company, and we look forward to seeing you again on a future session. Thank you, everyone.